This is going to be exclusive lecture on understanding time series data as well as plotting them on the graph using Matplotlib. A time series data is continuous data sequence. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification for all our future video updates. Associated with some time, let's say maybe date or some other timestamp. So where does these kind of data are present, or where are these data available? So these data are most likely to be obtained from stock market, currency conversion, sales data, weather report, and many more. So these data are basically generated on a timestamp basis. For example, let's say talk about a share market. So stock price of a particular company is 20 at X timestamp, and at X plus 1 timestamp it can go up or down, so it can change. So all these data are recorded based on the time as a reference, right? So these are the continuous data which varies with time. It may go up or down depending on the various factors. I'm not going to talk about various factors that affect these values. Rather, I'll be focusing on plotting this data using Matplotlib, right? And visualizing that data. For this video, I had collected a currency conversion data from Euro to INR over a period of roughly 1 month. And I have obtained this data from Yahoo Finance, and the data looks something like this one, right? So data looks like this. So it has a date, the opening rate, the highest value, lowest value, closing rate, adjusted close reference, and the volume. They have not mentioned the volume, that how much transaction happened, but although we are not concerned about how much transaction it has happened, we are more focused on how we can use these data with respect to time, right? So this is how the data is there with respect. I'm having data of 30 data, right? I'm having 30 data. So I have taken a small chunk so that it is easy for me to make you understand, and you can work on any large data that you wish to. This data is stored in a CSV file format, and I'll be reading this CSV file using one of the best data handling library in Python, which is pandas. Since I had used panda, so I'll be talking about some of the functions as and when required during this lesson. I'll not covering the complete pandas tutorial since this is a Matplotlib tutorial, but you should know it. That is very helpful while reading the data and handling the data. Actually, pre-processing the data is done with the help of pandas. So this will be bonus session for you because you will be also learning about pandas along with Matplotlib. So let's take a look at the data in Jupyter Notebook and analyze the data and plot the time series data and visualize it, right? So I'm in my Jupyter Notebook, and as usual I will run this code, matplotlib as pyplot, matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and pandas as pd, right? So I'm running this, executing this code, right? So my library modules are loaded. This data is Euro to INR exchange rate data for some duration, let's say 30 days, right? So first thing first, we need to read the data using pandas. So how to do that? First, specify the file path and store it in a variable. Like I have declared file underscore path as one variable which stores the location of this file. And as you know, R is just to make this as a raw string so that escape sequence character doesn't apply here, right? And now once the file path is allocated, I can read the data using function pd, which stands for pandas, pd.read CSV. As you can see here, I am using pandas as pd, so pd.read CSV and the file path, whichever file you have, right? So this will read the data frame. So panda read all these files as a data frame. Just understood that data frame is like all the chunks of data that is available in the file, okay? And I'll execute this cell. So this is loaded. Now how to see that? The first important feature in pandas is .head function. So this .head method, or you can say method also, so this data.head method will give you the first 5. By default it will give you the first 5 data row, right? So you can see how my data looks exactly. Even if you don't have access to the original CSV file, you can load it and use head function. You can view more data by specifying the limit. Let's say I want to see the 10 starting 10 data, then I can put 10 here and then execute it. I can see the data, right? So this is how the data looks like. They are arranged in the column, right? Date, open, high, low, close, it adjusted close, and volume, right? And this is additional column which is present, which came because we have not specified the indexes, right? So index is basically, if you don't specify any index, pandas will create a own index and put it there, right? But I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to create a index column as 0. 0 means the first column. Okay, so how we can do that? Simple. pd.read csv, in the same reading, while you are reading the file, you have to mention after the file name comma index call, this is as it is, and you have to mention which column you want to make as an index. You can specify any one of them, like you can say open, high, close, or, but here it will take the numeric value of that column, which is 0 starting with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, right? So you can specify any column to be as an index, right? And now if you see the data head, you will see something different. You are now 0, 1, 2, 3 are not there because you have manually specified that date to be as an index. Now date is a reference on which all these points are plotted, right? So this is very important to set one column as an index one, right? Okay, and we wanted to understand the complete shape of the data, means how many column, how many rows are there. So we can use data.shape. This is not with the parenthesis, so this is not with the bracket, so just delete the bracket and execute it. You will see the result. Now this says I have 30 rows and 6 column. 30 rows as you have seen in the CSV file, and 6 column, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6, it has 7 column, but it says 6 column because the date has been taken as an index, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now there is one very important function which is going to be extremely useful to understand the data with one command. So you can use data.describe and execute it. So this will basically give you all statistics related information. For example, for particular column, what is the count, total number of values, what is the mean of them, standard deviation, mean, and all the data you will get through the describe function. So quickly it will calculate these values for every column, right? So I wanted to plot date as a reference and high and low as a y-axis, right? I wanted to plot high and low as a y-axis. Okay, so how we can do that? So first we need to extract the data, the complete high data and complete low data, right? So how we can do that? Simple. It is a dictionary internally, so we can extract this complete column using this method. So the data, the name of the frame, and the name of column in the square bracket as a list, right? And using this method you can extract the complete column, right? So I've extracted the column and stored it in high value. In case if you want to visualize, you can see this is how the data is there, right? All the data, because index, so it will be there by default, and the data against that, right? Similarly, I have extracted the low column, right? So this one, low column, right? This column, using the same function low val equal to, so low val is the variable which stores this value, and if in case if you want to visualize it, you can check these are the values, right? Okay, now we wanted to know the shape of this one, in case, like for example, how much row and column is there in this data. So I'll just execute it. It will throw 30 and 0. It's not exactly 0 because this acts as an index, so it has only taken the row value, not the column count. So column is only 1, so they have not mentioned the column. The shape they have mentioned is 30 comma nothing, like it's single row data, single column data, right? So similarly with the low val also, right? Now comes the plotting part. Now we know that we already have data of high value and low value. Then what we can do is simply use this magic function to plot in an interactive graph, and then use plt.plot high value with this line formatting and label as highest value, right? Similarly, plt.plot low value comma label equal to lowest value, and obviously X label as a date, Y label as price, and title as euro versus price, font size 14, grid is enabled and legend is enabled, right? So let's plot it. As you can see here, the date is overlapped, so it's hard to understand what exactly is the date, but this is the feature of interactive mode in Matplotlib. So the highest value and lowest value is plotted against the date. For example, we are interested in these region. So how we can visualize this region? So click here. So this is zoom option, and now select the portion that you want to visualize. For example, I wanted to visualize till here, and leave the mouse. Here you go. You can visualize the data closely and in zoomed version, and what was the highest price and what was the lowest price for this particular day. You can visualize, right? And in case if you want to go back, click on the home and you are good to go in the default mode, right? So this is how you can visualize at any point, and go back any point you can visualize, right? And then you can you can go back in steps, or you can go back directly to home, right? So this is how you can visualize the time series data. Now let's say we want to add couple of more data. For example, I also want to put the what was the opening conversion price for euro and INR, right? I have extracted the value of open column and stored it in open underscore val, and I am just adding open underscore val as a label, open underscore val in the plot, and assigning a label of open val, right? And then I can plot. So the third line is also plotted along with the two lines, and it is also added to the legend, right? Similarly, you can add as many as columns. For example, I have added the adjacent column also. So adjusted close also. So adjusted close I'm extracting using data, and in the bracket adjusted close, and I'm storing this into this variable adg underscore close, and I'm adding this to this plot here, right? And now I'm plotting this, and now you can see the fourth line is also added as in green color, right? So adjusted values, open vals, and at any point of time you want to visualize it, you can visualize, right? And using zoom you can visualize, right? As you can see, the yellow and green color are almost overlapping, so that sometime it is not visible, but in case if you zoom it more, it is visible, right? As you can see, it is visible. So at any point of time you can use this zoom function to select a specific range, and that range will be visible to you, right? For example, this complete range I can analyze, right? All right, so that's it for this session. I hope you understand about time series data and how you can plot the time series data in Matplotlib, right? Hope this added some information to your existing knowledge. That's it for this lesson. Thank you so much for joining with me in this one. I will see you in the next one.